Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 40 of Let's Talk Immigration, 40 weeks in a row. If you're joining later to watch this video after it was recorded, welcome to you as well. The majority of our views come later, so you're not alone. I wanted to talk about a couple of developments in the immigration world, and then I want to go straight to Q&A. And so if you have a question, please ask that on Facebook or on YouTube, because that's where we're most likely to be able to see the question and I can answer it live, right? If it involves a visa category, say what your visa category is. If it involves a lawsuit that you're a participant in, say which lawsuit it is, okay? You're a DV selectee, say what fiscal year. The more context you give to your question, the better I can guide you. First thing I want to talk about is a development in the visa bulletin. Just a second here. As I tweeted out, when the September 2023 visa bulletin has come out, and sadly, the retrogression we saw in F2A category, this is for spouses of green card holders, has not recovered. It went from being a current visa category, see we're looking at F2A right here, if you see my cursor, to being all the way back to, they only have visas for petitions that were filed before October 2017. And now for September, that was for August, for September, it says petitions filed before January of 2018. So there was 3 months, the visa bulletin advanced 3 months for F2A categories, which is good, but it's not ideal because we really wanted to advance much more than that. Also, if you're new to visa bulletins, the all chargeable areas, this is called the rest of the world categories. And then these four are different because we have a lot of immigration from those four countries, so they have their own priority dates, cutoffs in the visa bulletin. Okay. Some people said, oh, but F2B did not advance, and that's sad. And that is sad. If you look at F2B from August to September, it's the same for all categories. However, it is positive that it didn't retrogress, because if you go back to the August visa bulletin, it warned that it may retrogress, and it did not. So that's good. Hopefully, the next visa bulletin that will come out in a month for October will change F2A dramatically. Probably not current, but that would be ideal. And also cause other categories to advance. All we can do is hope. Okay. I wanted to do a frequently asked question. Before I get into the questions that are being asked right now, I'm getting a lot of DV 2023 selectees that, they only have a month and 3 weeks to be issued a visa before the fiscal year is over, that are saying, hey, I've not been scheduled for interview. Will you do a group lawsuit like you did the last 3 years in a row? 2021, 22. Yeah. No, we won't. And here is why. I feel like I owe an explanation, since I did something 3 years in a row. The conditions that existed in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, where the State Department was not committed to issuing 55,000 visas, do not exist now. I very much believe that the State Department will issue 55,000 visas this year, and it is not going to take litigation or the threat of litigation to get them to do so. If you look at the website, I don't know how to say that. Is it the Xarthius, Xarthius, his website? The statistics show that the State Department has already scheduled more than enough visa interviews to issue 55,000 visas. So based upon that, I don't think a group lawsuit for diversity visas selectees who who have not been scheduled would be viable, V-I-A-B-L-E. Rather, I would think that lawsuit would be futile. It would be a waste of your resources. So if you haven't been scheduled for an interview as a DV 2023 selectee, all you can do now is hope for the best. Second thing, I got a lot of inquiries from people that are in AP, that are diversity visa 2023 selectees, and we are no longer accepting clients for mandamus lawsuits for people stuck in AP that are diversity visa 2023 selectees. Basically, the fiscal year is almost run out. Lawsuits take a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources, and at this point, they're less viable. You can't wait to the last minute to file a lawsuit and hope for success. Under the conditions we have right now, we just do not want to go that way. So you can check with other attorneys. I think Abadir Barre may be interested in litigation. Christina Gazarian, who used to be with Morrison Urena, may be interested in helping with consular processing problems, like refusals that shouldn't have happened. Of course, you're going to need to pay them, though. A lot of times people message me and I give the answer if I know it. Other attorneys don't always want to do that. So everybody has to pay their bills, right? So that takes care of the DV 2023 questions that I've been getting. So let me go ahead and jump in the questions that are in the chat, and we'll go from there. Omar says, hi, Mr. Morrison, welcome. Hi, Omar, welcome. Galea says, we are so tired of waiting, DV 2020. I understand your frustration, but we don't have an alternative, right? I heard a joke the other day where a mother was trying to talk her son into going to medical school, and the son said, by the time I get out, I'll be 30. And the mother said, well, you're going to be 30 anyway. You might as well be a doctor. So I kind of think that that's the way the DV situation is. Time is going to pass. We might as well wait and see what happens, because why wouldn't we? We don't have anything to lose by waiting to see what happens, okay? Eduardo says, good evening. Good evening, Eduardo. Omar says, just for notice, when you open live first 15 or 20 seconds, don't talk because your voice, we can't hear it. Thank you, Omar. I think there's a problem with my cable, cable to my microphone. Aziz says, considering the migrant crisis in the USA, I don't believe that there's a migrant crisis in the USA, but I'll continue reading. Do you expect more and strict migration control laws? I am not good at predicting politics in the U.S. The last presidential election that I successfully picked the winner in advance was 1976 when I was in third grade. So I'm not the person to ask. I would say that if the Republicans get back in control of the White House, that would be very bad for legal immigration, okay? DeSantis and Trump both regularly talk about chain migration. What they're talking about is family-based immigration, right? Things that both of their families have benefited from in the past. But what they also talk bad about the diversity visa program, that they want to do away with that. And they want to do away with employment visas that are not for specialized high tech. And I'm like, well, if you're not going to bring in people to work on the farms, who do you think is going to work on the farms? Who's going to pick and grow this food, right? It hurts my head how stupid Republicans are, right? Like every other country in the West and even the East, like Saudi Arabia, the other countries realize that you need immigration to grow your economy and to sustain your economy. It's just a weakness that the U.S. has, that we're short-sighted and haven't accepted that. But it's mostly the Republicans that don't get that, okay? So if you're listening to me and you value my advice, do not vote for a Republican. Manuel says, hey, Curtis, what would you say about F1? This is one of the categories that seems static. Okay, F1 is a confusing phrase because sometimes people say F1 and they're talking about an F1 non-immigrant visa, which is a student visa. That's not static. The Secretary Blinken has prioritized student visas, and they don't have problems really getting interviews. What Manuel's talking about is F1, the visa category that is for children of U.S. citizens, adult unmarried children of U.S. citizens, and it is static. What I would say is it's static for the same reason F2B, F3, and F4 are static, and that is Secretary Blinken, maybe he's bought into the chain migration arguments from Stephen Miller and the Republicans, but for whatever reason, he has prioritized students and visitors to Disneyland, B1, B2. Those are his two focuses. And as long as the State Department focuses on non-immigrant visas and lets family preference visas not even meet the allotment, they've not met the allotment going back 4 years now. They get $226,000 a year of family preference visas, those F category visas, and they've not issued that near. They've let hundreds of thousands go to waste. Some get rolled over to employment, but they don't even use those. So until Secretary Blinken or the Biden administration changes their position, I would expect more static, right? I know that that's not good news, but that's what's going on. Bernard says, hi, Curtis. I just joined your live. Hi, Bernard. Few words about DV 2021. Well, you need to be more specific, Bernard, because the majority of DV 2021 selectees, their journeys ended on October 1st, 2021. The only journeys that continue are plaintiffs of Good Luck, Go, are DV 2021s who selected certain embassies that were designated in an order by Judge Chutkan in Ray versus Biden. So I don't know which one of those categories you're in, but if you're waiting on the outcome of the appeal, because you were covered in one of the categories of the journeys that didn't end, you need to keep waiting. We don't have an outcome of the appeal. When we do, I will scream it from the rooftops. There'll be special videos. Omar says, question, in case we win the appeal, I assume he's talking about Good Luck, how long summary judgment takes, especially for a case like Good Luck. We have all evidence and strong arguments. Okay, there are 2 summary judgment motions in Good Luck. Do you remember that? We filed one, the plaintiffs, and the government, the State Department, Secretary Blinken, they filed one. They think that they should win, and they have a motion for summary judgment. We think that we should win, and we have a motion for summary judgment. So Judge Mehta has to rule on 2 motions, and we do have strong arguments and great evidence, but you're saying how long it would take, and that how long isn't so much about the strength of the evidence, but what the amount of work is involved with the order. And while Judge Mehta is one of the most knowledgeable judges in the world right now on the DV program, no question, he has a lot of really nuanced arguments that he would have to work out with in his order on these 2 summary judgment motions, and I wouldn't expect it to be done in a couple days. I think that if he had capacity, maybe within a few weeks or a couple months, but we don't know that he will have capacity. Judge Mehta, I understand, is responsible for a lot of the trials for the people that tried to overthrow our election on January 6, 2021, the criminal trials, and he's got a very busy docket. So I'm not sure about his availability, and his availability now is not relevant. It's his availability after we win the appeal, if we do. So we just need to be patient and see, okay? Eduardo says, DV 2020, 2021, is this the end of all hopes? Will there be a verdict? Well, the question has some problems, Eduardo, because DV 2020 and DV 2021 are very differently situated. Because DV 2020, there's a class. DV 2021, there's not a class. There's plaintiffs in good luck and go, and DV 2021 selectees assigned to Ray embassies. Okay. Also, your second part of your question has a problem, and you say there's a verdict. There's already been a verdict for DV 2020. We won summary judgment for Gomez. Okay. That's the order that was appealed. A verdict is not what you get from an appeals court so much. You get an opinion from an appeals court. So we're waiting for an opinion. Will there be one? Yes. Do we know when it is? No. Luna says, hello, sir. Baque says, hello, sir. DV 2020, our hope. I'm hopeful too. We can hear responsive Court of Appeal before September 15th, 2023. It's possible. I have no reason to expect that will happen or to expect that it will not happen. F1 immigrant visa for unmarried, yes. Okay, we have somebody from Russia, which is great because I used to hear a lot from hopeful immigrants from Russia, and the events in Ukraine have caused that to slow down dramatically, and I miss talking to my friends and clients in Russia. So DV 2021 is our only chance. We are waiting and balancing between getting what we have legally a chance for or possibly inevitable situation of certain death. Okay, well, you haven't indicated that you are a plaintiff, so I am concerned. If you are a plaintiff in good luck or go, you need to wait for the outcome of the appeal. Or if you were waiting on one of the embassies designated in Ray, you can wait for the outcome of the appeal. If you're not in one of those three situations, your DV 2021 journey is over. Okay. Bernard was talking about 2021. Good luck, plaintiffs. Great. I forgot what your question now, but okay, you said a few words. Well, the few words are we are waiting for the outcome of the appeal. It's what I've said over and over, maybe 100 times a day now for 1,000 days. So, not 1,000 days. How many days? 600 days. I don't know. Situation's not changed. We're still waiting for the outcome of the appeal. George says, I was one of the winners of the DV 2020 lottery. I did not get an interview because of the delays. I lost hope. You should lose hope. DV 2022 is over. As of October 1st, 2022, no other 2022 selectee is going to be issued a visa. You could always enter the lottery again in October. That'll be the DV 2025 lottery, I guess. James says, good evening. Do you know litigation never ends? Actually, James, it ends all the time. I voluntarily dismiss a lawsuit at least once every 2 or 3 days. Some cases, when they involve a lot of people and big issues, they take a lot longer. Hello, sir. If Trump wins again, will it affect the cases filed in 2020, if not at the same time? Great question. I don't know how Trump could be crueler than the Biden administration with respect to DV 2020 selectees, because the Biden administration is appealing Trump's loss, right? So what's Trump going to do? I mean, like, he's going to stick with the same plan. So it's not going to be any worse. What might be worse is the actual country. It may not be a country you want to come to if Trump wins again, okay? I'm not kidding about that. Omar says, thanks for an answer. A couple of days ago on your channel, you shared a PDF for DV 2020-21 that says Department of State distributed cases and modified it on a system that Judge Mehta asked on 151 embassies, and why only just 151? Okay. I don't remember that 151 appeared in that. I'm going to look right now because I don't remember seeing 151. So you're talking about this cable, 22 state 48054. I search it for 151 and 151 doesn't show up there. So I don't know where the 151 number is coming from. If you do, I want to know, because first of all, I don't know how many embassies issue immigrant visas, because I know that there are more embassies than 151, but a lot of them just do non-immigrant visas. Maybe it's just there may only be 151 embassies that issue immigrant visas, because there's a lot of embassies that don't issue immigrant visas. They just issue non-immigrant visas. But I didn't see 151. You'll have to show me that. Send me a message. Bob says, good evening. Will the visas have been kept for DV20 be given because the fiscal year is in September? No. DV 2020 has nothing to do with the current calendar. So the fact that the fiscal year 2023 ends on September 30th is not relevant to the appeal of the Gomez order at all. Great questions today. Okay, Raz says, any update regarding immigrant visa interview wait times for Iranian nationals at Ankara or Yerevan? When should one consider transferring to the quicker embassy? I don't know an update from when you last got an update from me. But generally, I don't want any of my Iranian clients waiting on an interview from Ankara. My first advice to them is, let's change your interview location to someplace outside the region. But if you can't do that, if you don't have the means of mobility, then we would recommend Yerevan between the three embassies. Yerevan still has a backlog. It's not an immediate interview situation, but what we see there is not near as bad as what we see at Abu Dhabi and Ankara. Okay, that's all the questions I have today, and I have a ton of work to do. So what I'm going to do is end today's episode early. If you have a question, you can direct message me or give us a call, email me, or the firm, either way. And I'll see you next week for episode 41, next Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you, everybody. If you're in part of the world that's like facing some kind of tragedy right now, I see the fires in Hawaii. I see the heat wave in Iran. Just like the whole world is like, there's a lot of things going on. We're going to get through this, okay? So hang in there, and it is noted that you're facing some hardship. Wish I could say more.